Assalamu alaikum dear students. Let's start with operations on negative numbers, and this is our lesson 1, and let's begin with that. Now before we move on to the question, let's have a look at the rules of addition and subtractions on negative numbers. Rule 1 says that the numbers with the same signs are added and we write their common sign with the answer. And the rules 2 says that numbers with opposite signs are subtracted. Now, let's have a look at these two rules by discussing some examples here on this next slide. So here you can see I have given few examples here, and in the first example you can see that I have written -4 -6, and this is going to be equal to -10. Here we have applied that the numbers with the same signs are added and we write their common sign with the answer. So this means that 4 and 6 both carry the same sign, which is negative, so we have to add these two numbers and we will write their common sign with the answer. In the second example you can see 8 plus 2, and once again you have to now here look for the right rule for this one, and as both the numbers are with the same sign, so you need to add these two numbers to get your answer as 10, and the sign of this number is 10, and normally we do not write plus sign with the answer. Now let's have a look at the third example, which is here, and that is 5 minus 3. So this will be simplified as 2, because here we have to apply the rule that these are the numbers with opposite signs, because 5 carries a positive sign always comes before the number, and the second one is with a negative sign. So these are the two numbers with opposite signs, one carries positive and the other carries negative sign. So we will subtract these two numbers and we will write the sign of the number which is greater here. So 5, if we just look at the absolute value, so 5 is the greater, so we are going to write the sign of this number with the answer. And as earlier I told you that we normally do not write positive sign with the answer, we normally do not write that. Now let's have a look at the fourth example, the last one example here, -7 plus 4. Now once again these are the numbers with opposite signs. 7 carries a negative sign, whereas 4 carries a positive sign. So according to the rule which were given on the previous slide, the numbers with the opposite signs are subtracted. So 7 minus 4 is going to give us 3, and here we have to write a negative sign, because as I told you that we have to write the sign of the number with absolute, whose absolute value is greater. So if you compare, if you just ignore the signs, and if you compare 7 and 4, obviously 7 is greater than 4, so we need to write the sign of this number 7 with the answer there. So the answer is going to be -3 in this case. So once again, before we move on to the rules for multiplication and division, just summarize the rules of addition and subtraction. Numbers with the same signs are added, and the second is the numbers with the opposite signs are subtracted. So you must remember these rules before you go for the operations on negative numbers. Now let's have a look at this slide. Here I have written the rules of for multiplication and division of negative numbers. So whenever you see a positive number is going to be multiplied with another positive number, the answer is to be written with a positive sign. So whatever the numbers are there, you need to multiply the numbers in the same way we multiply the numbers, but about the sign. Whenever two positive numbers are going to be multiplied with each other, the product is to be written with a positive sign. In the same way, you can see on the second rule here, if you got a positive sign and the sign of the second number is the negative, then according to the rule, positive multiplied with the negative sign give you a negative sign. And the third rule is here, and that says that if you have two numbers and the sign of both numbers is negative, then negative sign multiplied with another negative sign will give you a positive sign. So whenever you are going to do multiplication, you have to keep these rules in your mind, and you also have to remember that division follows the same rules. Okay, so for division you have to apply the same rule. If one positive sign is to be divided with a negative sign, this is going to give you a negative sign, And if there is a number with a negative sign and the other number is also negative, and both the numbers are going to be divided by each other, then we are going to get positive sign with the answer. So this is exactly according to the rules of multiplication. Now let's have a look at this multiplication box. And here the rules which we discussed on the previous slide, these are once again summarized here. So you can see here a box. In this box you can see two here. In the first column, that's a sign of multiplication, and here you got a positive sign. Here I have written negative, positive here, and negative. Now how we are going to understand this multiplication table? So when this positive sign is multiplied with this positive sign, this is going to give us a positive sign. In the same way, if you multiply this positive sign with the negative sign, you are going to get this negative sign. And if a negative sign is to be multiplied with the positive sign, this is going to give us a negative sign. And lastly, the negative multiplied with the negative sign is going to give us a positive sign. So this is called multiplication box. You can also memorize this box, or otherwise just memorize and remember the rules which I have explained on the previous slide. This is basically summary of the previous slide. So whatever is easier for you, just go by that. Now let's have a look at a few examples. Here in the first example, you can see on the left hand side, in the first example, 4 is to be multiplied by 6. Now both the numbers are with the positive signs. So 4 multiplied by 6 is going to give us 24, means positive sign multiplied with a positive sign is going to give us a positive sign. The multiplication is done in the same way as we multiply the numbers. But about the sign, whenever a positive sign is multiplied with a positive sign, this gives us a positive sign according to the rule. Now let's have a look at this second example where minus 8 is to be multiplied by 2. Now we know 8 twos are 16, so the product is going to be 16. But what about signs? You see that 8 carries a negative sign, whereas 2 carries a positive sign. So according to the rule, a negative sign multiplied with a positive sign will give you a negative sign. Now let's have a look at the third example. Once again, the same rule is applied here. 5 carries a positive sign, whereas 3 carries a negative sign. So 5 multiplied by minus 3 is going to give us minus 15 according to the rule. And here in the last example, minus 7 multiplied by minus 4. Now here both the numbers they carry the same sign, and that is negative sign. So according to the rule, negative multiplied with the negative sign will give you a positive sign. So the product of these numbers is going to be plus 28. And now let me explain a few questions for you people, and then I'm going to assign you people your class work. Now this question, these are few questions which I have taken from exercise 2b from D1, and this is question 1 part H. If and the question is 5 minus 5 plus 8. Now here you have to recall the rules of addition and subtraction of negative numbers. You can see here we have two numbers with the opposite signs. So we have to subtract these two numbers according to the rule. So 8 minus 5 is going to give us 3. And once again, you can see there I have written here the sign of the bigger number comes with the answer. So as I told you that we normally do not write plus sign with the answer. So this is done. Now let's have a look at another example, and this is part F from question number 1 from exercise 2b. So minus 11, and this is the question, minus 11 minus 5, and we have to simplify this one. Okay, let me put a line here. And this minus 11, I have written this number as it is, whereas you can see we got two signs here. This one is positive and the next one is negative, and the bracket shows that these are to be multiplied by each other. So positive into a negative sign will give us a negative sign according to the rule, if you recall the rules of multiplication of negative numbers. So we got here minus 11 minus 5. Now you got two numbers with the same signs, and according to the rules of addition subtraction of negative numbers, the numbers with the same signs are added. So you need to add 11 and 5 to get 16. And what about the sign? Yes, of course the sign is going to be negative, because we write their common sign with the answer. So this is how we have simplified the given negative numbers by applying the rules. Now let's consider one more example here, and this is from question number 5 from the same exercise and part G. And the question given to us is 12 minus, and within bracket we got minus 17. Now let's have a look at how I'm going to solve this. 12 is to be carried down as it is. Now here we need to decide what to do with these two signs. We got two signs in negative, and the bracket, as I told you, that it shows multiplication. So negative multiplied with a negative sign will give us a positive sign according to the rule of multiplication of negative numbers. Now we got 12 plus 17. Now it's very easy to add these two numbers. 12 plus 17, this will add up to 29. So this is how we have simplified this numerical expression. Hope you got these concepts. Now here's your classwork. Your classwork is you are supposed to do question 1, 3, and 5 of exercise 2b from D1, and the page number is 36. And mode of submission is you have to solve these questions on your classwork copy and send the images on your Google Classroom where the assignment is attached. Best of luck. Take care. Allah Hafiz.